But yeah, we're here in the Capilla or in the chapel in Miramar, which is fairly close to our area. But so we went out to McDonald's for lunch. I don't like
Yeah.
McDonald's, and it's so much more expensive here in Honduras than the States. By chance, do you know how much a Big Mac costs in the States in Utah?
It's about
I don't
almost
even know.
4.
It's like $6.
Probably $4 or $5. Could be 6.
Uh,
It's been a while since I've been to McDonald's.
yeah, we get to like $5, I'm sure. So a Big Mac, $5. Here, it's almost 8,
Ooh.
almost $8 in Honduras.
Is it better?
No, it's probably the same. I didn't try it. I just was like, this is super expensive. I'm just gonna buy 10 chicken nuggets, and that was still $5 for 10 chicken nuggets. Yeah,
Yeah.
my goodness, my goodness. So I don't want to go back to McDonald's again. Well, this week I've got a lot to talk about. Oh my goodness. This week's been eventful, to say the least. Um, the most eventful days were Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's a lot of complaining. So, I'll go over that in like a bit, in like 10 minutes. I'll start off on a good note. um, I'll try to complain the least. But in the moment, I was like, oh my gosh, complete. I was like, it was the worst. I think I would confidently say Tuesday was the worst day of my mission so far.
Ooh.
So yeah. So I did send one photo of Anna with the baleadas. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah. So Anna, yeah, I sent it. Anna with the baleadas. She's from Trujillo. She grew up there actually, so she's part Garifuna. That's when we went and did divisions with Elder Mia. He's the guy on the right. He's cool. He's awesome. Um, he's one of the APs. He is a great guy, and so those divisions were fantastic. What we did on Tuesday, we went on divisions with the ZLs, and I mean already, I don't really get along with them. I didn't really get along with them. I mean, one of them I definitely didn't get along with, and then the other was like, I tolerated, but the first guy, nah, I don't, I didn't like him really in the first place. He always like just rubbed me the wrong way every time I talked to him. I was like, this guy, I don't like him. It was like that one Canadian. First interaction, he was just cold. I mean, he was like super unfriendly, just to me, I guess, for some reason. And then he seemed like have a bit of disdain for like Americans for some reason. He was like, "Where you from?"
Oh,
I'm
I
like, "Well,
wonder
I'm from the
why.
States." He's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from America." He's like, "Well, what part?" I'm like, "Well, from Utah." "Well, America, we're all in North America." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but like the States." "Okay, cool. Well, Canada, I like Canada a lot more." I'm like, "Okay, all right." I didn't ask, but I don't know. You just had first interaction. I don't know. He just seemed to hate me. Maybe he has a bit of disdain for Americans, or I don't know. But I mean, the other times I've like talked to him, he also just is just so cold. I don't know what it is. I've never met him. Like I just met him for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and it was just like, "Hi, my quiche." Anyways, but so we went on divisions. There Elder Siciliano and there's Elder Perez. Those are our two ZLs, our zone leader. And here I can put one of the photos that we took with him.
So did you go
There
on
it is. I sent the
exchanges with
photo.
the Canadian guy, or did you go on exchanges with the other guy?
No, we went on exchanges with the ZLs. I sent a photo of us with that was the ZL that I went on divisions with. He's the guy I just like didn't really get along with at all before. Now definitely not. So that was on Tuesday. They said we were gonna do divisions because like the last week we had a couple problems in the companionship, and I guess no, we weren't working as hard as we should be, honestly. And I was like, I was trying to like do better, but the guy wasn't giving me any push or any incentive to do better, and so I was just like doing good sometimes and then mediocre the rest. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do better. I don't know what I can do a whole lot better. But so we were like, all right, we're gonna go on the ZL. We're gonna go on divisions with the ZLs. That's what they told us. And so they came over here, and the guy's name is Siciliano, Elder Siciliano. He's 27 years old. He's pretty old for a missionary. And he's got 22 months on the mission. So he's going home at the end of next transfer. And that really surprises me because he does not have tact with investigators. He does not have tact at all. Like you think I don't have tact? You know how I was before the mission? I didn't have tact. That guy had way less tact than I did. And he's 27. The guy is 27 years old. And he's almost finishing his mission and he doesn't know how to treat people very well. And so, we started our day, it was all right. We started off all right. Because we had district council that same day. We went to district council with the ZLs. And, we mentioned that, some of our, like, none of our recent converts have come. And so, we write our numbers and stuff on the board, on the whiteboard, and then we talk about it. Our strength, our weakness for that week. Weakness was recent convert attendances. Like, we only have maybe 20% of our recent converts that still live here in our colonia, in our like city. Like the other 80% have already like left. I don't know why. A lot of them just leave and just move. And so we haven't been putting a lot of focus on our recent converts. So that's something that we need to do a lot better. And so we mentioned that the ZILs were like, well, why haven't you guys been putting a lot of focus on them? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, we really should have been. I'm not sure why we weren't. But we were trying to figure out who lives where and if some of our recent converts do still live there. Others, we weren't able to visit this week. He was just like getting on about he was just getting on our frumps about this, about our recent converts not coming to church. He's like, well, you guys got to keep visiting him. You guys got to keep inviting him to church. I'm like, I know, I agree. We're going to do better this next week. We're going to try and visit him more. But he just kept going on about it. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. Next. So already just like a bad first interaction, more or less. And then later on, we went out to work. He came to my area, and then my companion went to his area. And so I was leading the area. And the first couple of people we went with, it was weird. The way he taught was like he teaches super direct, like way too direct. He just comes off as very like overpowering with a lot of people. And it's like it's exactly the opposite of what Christ said, not to do. If people feel like they're confessing to you, that's not right. You should be trying to confer with people, try and be their friend, and be genuinely interested in and what they have to say and what they have to think. He's the complete opposite of that. So he's just super direct. And one of our fetches, Uciel, I think I talked about him. He's like really timid. He's super vague whenever he talks, and he's not direct whatsoever. And so I told him beforehand, I told Cecilia, I'm like, hey, this guy's, not very direct. You gotta have patience with him. So don't be too overpowering. Don't be very pressuring. And what do you know? He was like really just overbearing. And Uciel didn't want to talk at all. Like barely talked that entire lesson. And Siciliano started to like get a little like irritated around the end. He was like, well, is this something you want or not? Like, just tell us. If you're not interested, just tell us. I'm like, dude, calm down. I told you he's like kind of timid. Like, you got to tone it down. He's like, and then he just like put his hand on my shoulder. I'm like, Elder, I got this. I'm like,
I know exactly.
oh my God. And so later he does that. He did that a lot. Like a lot of times he just like puts his hand on my shoulder and he's like, Elder. And then he says something stupid. And so after the lesson, I was like, dude, what are you doing? I told you, he's kind of timid. You need to, be patient with him. You need to have tact. And he's like, yeah, well, that guy clearly doesn't want to learn. I'm like, that's not the case. He's timid. You have to learn to be tactful. How old are you? You're 27, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you should be more mature than me, right? Like, yeah, of course. He was like, he got mad. He was like, I'm like, you need to learn how to have patience with some people. And he just got mad. So I guess I don't have tact either. No.
But if you're
But-
if you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have tact, you have the right not to use tact either. So
Yeah. So I don't know. I was not tactful in giving that advice.
Hell,
He's a
Huh? Yeah,
zombie.
he's a zombie.
how
He is at the end of his mission. 27 years old at the end of his mission, and he's the worst missionary I've ever met. One of the most immature as well, I'd say, actually. Maybe not the most immature, but the worst. I don't know, maybe I'm judging a little bit too harshly. But he's the one I got along with the least, to say the least. And that's a lot because I didn't get along with Salina like at all. But I mean it just surprises me. It really did surprise me how little this guy truly understood like the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I mean that just goes to show age honestly doesn't matter a lot of the times, with missionaries.
He's a good Mormon, but he's not a good saint.
Yeah. And time on the mission especially. A lot of times people use time on the mission as, like authority. Now I've got 20 months on the mission. I know what I'm doing. I've had this experience. You only have 9 months on the mission. I understand, Elder Williams. You're still growing. You're still learning. In time, you'll come to understand. I'm like, dude. So yeah. So that was my experience with all the Siciliana. There's a bunch of other bad stuff that happened. But we had a couple good lessons. It wasn't all bad that day. We talked with Sylvia, the lady who wants to get married, who her partner is a member of the church, and she was like, yeah, we want to get married. So we learned about her. We talked with her, and we'll talk with her again. Hopefully we can find her because the last couple times she's been really busy. And then also, so this Tuesday, no, Wednesday we went and did service, and we moved one of our recent converts, and it was just 3 of us. Luckily, houses down here are a lot smaller. They don't have a lot of stuff, so it's not like moving somebody in the States. But
Any refrigerators?
yes, and I overdid it. I overdid it on one of them. I'll tell you about that in a
You
second.
gotta be careful.
I did. I was being careful. Trust me. Anyway, so in a minute. But so we talked with her, a couple days earlier, and we are like, yeah, we can come over on Wednesday, at like 7:30, 8 o'clock ish, whenever the truck's ready, because she, was moving literally just 2 blocks down, really, really close. but she's been attending a different church for like the last couple months, and the missionaries haven't visited her in a couple months.
Hmm.
And so the pastor of that church offered to, lend his truck so that we could move a lot of the stuff instead of carrying it. And so, we called her. She was like, "Yeah, come over at like 8 o'clock," because we were, a little bit delayed. The guy's not able to come quite yet. I'm like, "That's all right." All right. So we came at 8, and our work clothes, we were ready to work. And I was like, ready. I was like, I'm not very strong, but I will do whatever I can. I will put in my best effort. And I did. I mean, I really did. I overdid it way too much. And so when we got there at like 8:10, nothing was boxed. I mean, she had like just barely gotten up, like started her day like 30 minutes previously. Nothing was packed. Almost nothing was packed rather. And one of the one of the sons was still sleeping. I was like, why did we come right now? And so we helped her pack some stuff, because they didn't have any boxes. We just put them in like grocery bags. And so we moved the books. The truck still hadn't got there, so we moved some of the big stuff out. Like one of the couches, the sofas, a couple of the mattresses, and one of the mattresses was like a big, blocky, hefty, like just thing of memory foam. They wanted to flop over, and it was heavy. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I can't lift this. Just me and you, because it wants to flop to one side. So let's ask the son to like prop up one end or something. Because I can't do this. Because I would have had to have one hand under and one hand above lifting it, and that would have been like 50 pounds lifting for just like, no, not 50, like 40 on just one arm. And I was like, no, I can't lift that. Sorry. He's like, what? Why not? And by the way, the entire time we were moving, he kept making just like little remarks, little jokes about, me being weak. He's like, why can't you just like take that sofa out on your own? I'm like, it's heavy, dude. I know I'm not strong, but I'll do what I can. I'll work as hard as I can. Okay, stop being a jerk. And then once that once the pastor came, he also joined in on picking on me a little bit. Like both of them were just picking on me, just like little remarks, and they were laughing behind me, my back a little bit. I was like, this is the worst. This is the worst day ever. This is the worst mission I've ever met. I can't believe. I was just like, I cannot believe this guy is in a position of leadership. I can't believe this guy is 27 years old, is almost at the end of his mission, and he is this immature in things spiritually and morally. No, I don't know. I was just like, oh my gosh. And so, I mean, I tried not to let it get to me. But around the end, when there were two fridges. One of them was a lot smaller. Me and him could lift it just by ourselves. It still was heavy, but I was like, I didn't think I would overdo it, and I didn't. But the other fridge, that one was quite a bit bigger, quite a bit heavier. I was like, I cannot lift this, just you and me. Otherwise, I'm gonna overdo it. And then he made some subtle remark. I don't remember. And then so me, the pastor, and him, we lifted the fridge out, and we got it over to the truck, and then we lifted it up. It took 4 of us to lift it, like, because it had wheels, but it was still probably like 200 pounds, man, or more. I don't know, probably more. Maybe 200, like 250, 200, I don't know, something like that. And so it took 4 of us to lift it onto the truck bed, and it almost slid out onto wheels, but I caught it. And then we took it over to the house, and the guy stayed by in the first house to like continue lifting some stuff, taking it out. And so it was just me and him and the hermana, and he was like, "Come on, let's just lift it." I'm like, "Okay, I need the amount of help." And I was like, "Emma, can you come help me? Can you come help us lift this over there? Where do you want it?" And so over there, and she's like, "Yeah, sure, just give me a second." She didn't come, and after like 4 minutes, 5 minutes of waiting, I'm just like, you know what? I'll just give it my best shot. Whatever. And I completely overdid it. I mean, I destroyed my right arm. Like I just tore too many muscles, and I couldn't use my right arm like the rest of the day. Like I couldn't use it to lift stuff. And that's when the teasing really started to get to me.
Mm.
Because they were teasing me and just making jokes, and I just overdid it, and so I could only lift with my left arm a little bit. I could maybe lift like 5 pounds with my right arm without it hurting. And it hurt for the next 2 days. And also my back, hurt like heck the next day, but it wasn't too bad. And so that's when it just really got to me, and I just shut down. I haven't shut down in forever. Like it's been a long time. I just emotionally, everything just, I was like, I can't do this, man. Like this guy, I can't take it. And I just shut down. And I was just like, I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to do anything for the next like 30 minutes or so. I was just like, let's just get this done and then get out of here. And then after a bit, they kept, just like making jokes and stuff. And then I was just like, I got so mad. And I just started like going off on him completely. And the freaking pastor as well, because the pastor was like, dude, what's wrong? Just calm down, man. This guy's probably like in his 60s. And he was like joining in on just like making jokes on me. I'm like, really? Hey, lady, you go to this guy's church. This guy's a pastor. This guy's a ZL. How the heck is it that these people are in positions of leadership? So, I mean, I just got so mad. That's the first time I've like seriously gotten mad since Planeta. When I also overdid it on the fridge. 2 fridges. I'm done with fridges, man. Gosh.
Fridges are bad news.
So I completely lost my cool. And I was just like, let's finish this last load and leave because I can't take this anymore, Elder. I can't take you anymore. And we started walking. The pastor offered to drive us home. I was like, fine, whatever. And then he tried giving me, some words of advice. He's like, that's just how some of us Latinos are. We joke around, but later we just forget about it. We're good buds. I'm like, no, that's you guys completely over. You guys overdid it. I understand, joking a little bit about being weak. I don't care about that, but it was incessant, and it was just subversive, and just it was just. I don't know, I think you understand. So
I'm sorry, Benjamin.
yeah,
Some people will just be that way, and they feed off of each other.
seriously.
Make it. They do things worse than they would normally by themselves because they feed off of each other, and they're just both mean-spirited people. They love it. They love that. They feed off of each other.
So, yeah, and then we did that for about 3 hours. That was like 3 hours. It was hard, and we got back, and I was just like, you know what? They were like, hey, we have district council, and like, it was the worst day of my mission for sure. I hope it's the worst. I hope it
I
doesn't
hope
happen
you
again.
don't actually get a companion like him.
Yeah, if I
That'll
no,
be an
if I actually
emergency
had a companion like him, it
week.
would be emergency transfer day 2. Emergency transfer day 2. Not even kidding. If I actually had to deal with him as a companion, nope, could not, would not, would not. Oh, I don't know how Paris does it. His companion, because Paris is a lot more like easygoing. Paris, I think, is a little bit better, but not a lot better. But so we went over and we had, a ZL to companionship talk. My companion loved his divisions with the other ZL. And I just was so just angry that entire time. And I kept my cool, throughout the, discussion. I was like, I realized I'm like, I have to control my emotions because they're gonna report me. I'm sure he's gonna report me to the APs, the president, whatever. Saying how Williams, has done this and this. I'm gonna do the same thing today. I'm gonna talk to president and be like, hey, I don't know what I should report because I don't want to. I don't know what I should report. And another thing that just was like the dumbest thing I ever heard. And so they mentioned, they told us that the only thing as missionaries we need to read is preach my gospel. We don't need to read anything else, because, as missionaries, preach my gospel is everything that we need to know, everything that we need to learn. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you joking? No, of course we're not joking. How about, okay, how about the Book of Mormon? How about the Bible? How about the New Testament? How about Doctrine and Covenants? There is so much truth in these books that you cannot find in Preaching My Gospel. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, Preach My Gospel is everything we need to know as missionaries. Sure, the Book of Mormon is good to read. We should read the Book of Mormon. The New Testament now and then, but we don't need to read Doctrine and Covenants. We don't need to read, Jesus the Christ, any other books. Preach My Gospel, Book of Mormon is all we need as missionaries. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I just completely and utterly disagree with you. There are so many truths that you cannot learn in Preach My Gospel that are in the New Testament. Preach My Gospel is a guide. It's a guide for us to make decisions, help us to get on, the path, to learn the basics. It's for us to learn the advanced principles and the advanced truths for ourselves in the Book of Mormon, in the Bible. And obviously they agreed with me, but, they were just like, well, you need to just focus on just reading Preach My Gospel this week. Only Preach My Gospel. I'm like, oh my gosh. And, we argued a little bit, not a lot. I tried not to argue at all that discussion, but I argued a little bit there about there is so much truth that is not in Preach My Gospel. I'm sorry, but I'm not in agreement with you guys on this. It's just not true. And I told them that I was like, yeah, President told me that I need to read Preach My Gospel more often. And I will. I will read Preach My Gospel more often. I'll make it a part of my personal study every day. I'll read like 15, 20 minutes, every day. And they're like, no, you have to read only Preach My Gospel this week. I'm like, nope, I will set my own goals. I will read Preach My Gospel 15, 20 minutes a day. And the rest I'll read Book of Mormon and my Bible. The Bible. And they're like, whatever, you do you. And, they were super subversive the entire time and just always, they were always just flaunting that they are better, that, they have this authority, I need to listen to them. And they, every now and then we were like, well, if we're in the wrong, then we'll find out. We'll find out if we're in the wrong. And yeah, anyways, so I think that's more or less what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. So that was horrendous. So I'll talk to the president about that. Because yeah, worst days of my mission. Oh man. But so anyways, take care. Have a good night.
Love you.
See you next week.
Okay.
Yeah, take care of yourself, Dad. Love you,
Bye-bye.
Mary. Love you, Grandma. Mom.
Bye.